Hi guys, welcome back to another Builds and Stuff video. This is part 2 of the WP04 Wolfang projector. So, as promised, basically this is a review with the projector connected to a 28E graphics card on a PC. We thought we'd run it through a few games and see how it kind of performs, how the projector processes information from the graphics card. This is in the kids' room basically, so the projector's kind of behind me, so bear with me if you see like my hand making a shadow on the screen. I'm not doing like a shadow puppet show, even if it might look that way at certain times. Yeah, so what I wanted to say was, on the edges you can kind of see it's slightly out of focus. Now bearing in mind this is 2 meters away from the wall, the projector is, which projecting a screen of, I think it's about 65 inches, 64 inches, about 166 centimeters measured diagonally, which is pretty large for a screen by any standards really, and 2 meters is probably about average projected like throw distance. Some people might have more depending on where they're placing the projector, but if you look at the outer edges, which kind of is probably about 1.5 inches, border 1 inch to 2 inches all the way around, but in the center it's pretty crisp, as you can see. But what I wanted to see was refresh rates and that kind of stuff. So what we're going to do is maybe even change the settings on some of the games so that it displays the frames that are getting processed, so you can actually see. What I want to see is like kind of presence of shadows, ghosting, that kind of thing. But yeah, I think what we'll do first is basically get Quake up and running and see how that goes basically. I think we're going to test Assetto as well, Super Corsa and Tekken 7, and see what they're like on a projected screen. Bearing in mind this is also on a kind of standard wall, painted with white emulsion. You do get projector screens, and my advice would be to project on a projector screen, which would probably give you a better image, projected image on the wall. And it'd be better if it had a slightly better representation of colours. I mean, what I can see with my naked eye is slightly different to in terms of colour depth, hue and saturation and that kind of thing, and that's more down to the camera that I'm using rather than the actual projector. In future, I think what I'm going to do is I'll probably get a better camera that will represent the colours more realistically. In fact, on that note, while you're here watching, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe button, and drop a comment, which would help the channel. And then maybe we can get above 1,000 subscribers and invest in some better camera equipment that will represent colours better. Again, I mean, even if the camera was representing the colours better, it also depends on the monitor that you're looking at the video on. So it's all kind of subjective really, what you're viewing and what kind of colour depths you see. Oh, this is pretty decent. I mean, not kind of paying too much attention to the colour differences. See that outline is, to the naked eye, is bright white, but here there's like a yellowy kind of hue to it. It's kind of like on my camera, it's kind of bleeding from the yellow into the white. But if you look at the actual screen, actual wall, with the image projected on the wall, it's actually a lot crisper. But that's probably due to the low light in the room as well. Right, so just wait for that to load up. Right, so the game's loaded up. You just go to the video settings section and just make sure video, what's that set to, 1080, actually 1080 graphics card, not 2080. And all those are set to ultra. What is that one set to? Ultra. So basically it's all the high settings on Quake at the moment. If you go to the game or the HUD settings, I think you can display the frame rate somewhere. Yeah, show FPS counter. So that should show the frames that it's processing on the graphics card, and then how that translates down the HDMI cable and into the projector. So if you just start any random game now, we'll see how that kind of how that goes. Hopefully it doesn't take ages to find a game. Do you know what? I might just try changing the resolution on this camera phone as well, and see if we can get a better representation of what's on the actual wall projected by the monitor. Bear with me a second. Right, so I've set this to 4K now, the camera that I'm using. Let's see if that's a better representation of colour. That is actually much better. It's actually much better, but we'll see how that fares. Hopefully it doesn't take too long to load up. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it takes absolutely ages. It just depends on the servers, I guess, on the Quake servers. Well, there we go.
Сейчас им будет трудно. Prepare your team.
It is actually pretty crisp on the wall as well. In fact, it's a bit weird because me standing up here looking at a screen that size, just lower the volume a little bit so it's not kind of drowning me. So I think that's pretty good actually. Like, when you're in a game, the little blurry, the little bit of blur around the edge of the screen isn't as noticeable. It's probably because your attention is in the middle of the screen while you're playing. It's not actually that bad. I mean, bear in mind this is an entry-level projector, and it's, you know, priced at around 170, 180, 190, whatever it is. That's pretty good. That's pretty good going. And being as big as it is, I think if it filled the whole wall, if the projector was further back a little bit and it filled the whole wall, I think it'd be even weirder. The sensation that you get kind of watching the screen, watching a screen of this size, like in kind of environments where the scene is moving. It's like a kind of rapid, dynamic environment where the geometry just makes you feel kind of dizzy, almost. But yeah, as far as the graphics goes, it's pretty decent. I don't see any like issue with colours and processing and that kind of thing. Most of the processing is getting done by the graphics card anyway. It's just the image that's getting sent down a HDMI, the end image, after it's been processed by the graphics card. But I thought there might be some ghosting, but there's actually not. It's all right. What we'll do is we'll test the other games as well. We'll test the was it Assetto? We'll test Assetto next, and then we'll do Tekken at the end and see what they're like. Right, so we're just starting up Assetto. It's just loaded up now. So I think this one takes a little bit of a while loading up. So even the text on this, it's pretty decent. I'm not sure. Hang on. Right, so we've got Assetto loaded up now, or loading up now. We're going to see how that looks on the projector. So we know it's not gonna. It wasn't doing any ghosting on Quake, but we'll see how it performs on games like this, like racing games. What I need to do really is get some kind of tripod holder that'll hold the camera in a certain position. Right, I think what we'll do is we'll see if we can change the picture mode to Sport, which is a little bit brighter. I don't know if you can see that changing. So if I change that, this is Sport mode on the projector, Vivid, High Bright, Standard and Custom. So we could change the brightness to 70. Change the saturation a little bit. It's really subtle, the differences between each of the steps, like 9, 10, 11, 12 in hue and saturation. And let's see about sharpness as well. In fact, that's a lot better. We've got it set at 17 sharpness. What about gamma? Gamma's probably better on bright for games. Colour temperature, warm, cool, standard, warm, cool, standard. In fact, cool's probably better for games as well. Yeah, so let's keep it on that for now. Screen mode. Yeah, keep it on auto. Because they're just different aspect ratios. Right, so even that is pretty decent. I mean, bearing in mind this is a 1080p game, it's a full HD game. It's not like a 4K game or anything. So what you're seeing there is the end product of what the graphics card's actually processing, and the projector's not having an issue replicating that on the screen. Even the top is in slightly better focus than it was, and I don't know if that's because I changed the sharpness on it, but it is a lot sharper. Down the bottom, however, there is a slight blur, as you can see on where it says last and lapse. There's a slight blur there, and number 1, and basically in that kind of corner. But other than that, it looks fine. I personally, I would probably use this for games and movies rather than anything computer related. It's not really the kind of thing that you want to use for, you know, standard things on a computer like word processing and that kind of thing. It's just to demonstrate what games look like. As the first video we did, what Netflix and movies basically that would look like. But yeah, I think like 4K footage, if you check out my other video, you'll see the colours are a lot more vibrant. You might need to tinker with the settings on your graphics card to try and get closer to what it would look like on a monitor, but straight off the bat, just plugging it in, loading it up, you can't really complain too much about it. It's not, I think it's above average considering it's a projector. What we'll do is we'll try out one last game like Tekken and see what that's like in terms of colour and that kind of thing. Right, so this is Tekken loading up. I think this the camera that I'm using at the moment has more green to it. Like if you put it against something white, it will have a green kind of hue to it. So yeah, it does have, it's slightly more green than it should be. I'll have to experiment with the other cameras that I've got and see if I can use a better camera for these kind of things to represent colour properly. Like this is red, it's supposed to be red, but it looks slightly orangey on the screen. In fact, I might be able to sort that out in post-processing to make it look like the same colour as I was looking at, like, you know, with the naked eye. But yeah, I mean, looking at it, I mean, as I said regarding the blur around the edges, once a game started, you can't really make out any of the blur unless you're looking at things like text. but we'll see what it looks like in game, and see if you can see much of the blur around the edge. I think a lot of that is probably to do with how it does the pin cushion, and kind of, you know, the autofocus parts of the projection. No, I mean, if you look at this, you can't tell there's a blur around the edges, not at all. You can't tell at all there's a blur around the edges, not in game. That is because it's not text. And I mean, if you look at this, you can literally see the pixels. Now, if you get that close to it, if I can do that without kind of creating a shadow from the projector itself, there you can see the actual pixels if you get really close to it. Just as you would on a standard monitor, I guess. But from you know, a distance of about 2 meters, where you'd probably be with a 65-inch screen, at least when you're playing games and stuff, this is totally fine. Like, I wouldn't kind of say, oh, let's turn it off and let's use the TV instead or something. It wouldn't be too far off in terms of the image representation. Wouldn't be too far off on a TV with resolutions like 1080p. I haven't actually got a 4K game to test 4K, but looking at the 4K video that we did in the other part 1 of the review, I don't think it'd have an issue with representing 4K on the screen. So yeah, I'd say if you want it for gaming and that kind of thing, it's an excellent projector to have as a kind of entry-level projector. You could get like your mates around or whatever, family and stuff, and sit around a big screen and play games like this on the wall. It's a lot better than looking at a 24-inch, 32-inch screen and trying to huddle around. Whereas if you spend 180 quid or thereabouts on a projector like this, you can project a 60, 70, 80, 90, 100-inch screen, and literally just everybody sit on a sofa and not have to huddle around a tiny little screen, which is what it's all about, really. Movies, anything kind of social, like games, movies, if you have like kind of movie nights or whatever. I think this would be a perfect projector. You don't want to spend too much money. You know, this is excellent, and for the price point, the build quality, the support that you get, it's pretty much spot on for that kind of price range. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the bell notification buttons, and feel free to drop a comment if you want to see any other reviews, if you've got any suggestions, ideas, that kind of thing, and I'll see you on the next one.